Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am the host, Jaden Riley of Becoming From a Sister podcast. And overall, I'm sorry it's been so long since I've made an episode. There's been so much happening. First, I had spring break and I went away. Then a lot of theater shows and preparation to do. And I didn't really get the time to thoughtfully think about what I wanted to talk about for this episode. But luckily, now after doing a communications project, and actually this topic was the topic of my presentation, I now have a really nice discussion. So the topic for today's episode is about no longer being afraid of confidence and how there is a thin line between arrogance and confidence, but truly living and embracing all of the beautiful qualities that make up who you are and how that positively affects how you live and how you look at yourself. So although I say this in a lot of my episodes to start off an example of how I deal with the topic, I'm going to start off with me being in the performing arts realm when I was younger. And that whole realm showed me a world where you needed to have confidence to succeed in many aspects of business, whether it be on stage or on film. And so I was lucky enough to be taught the importance of being truly confident in who you are. And although a lot of people aren't shown that, I think it's something that isn't talked about a lot because a lot of people think it's stupid, but it's something that I think is important to talk about because everyone deserves to appreciate who they are. And although no matter how much I was taught about it when I was younger, still as many other people I had always dealt with my own insecurities and moments where I didn't have strong faith in myself, especially on stage. So growing up around teenage girl gossip and harmful, unrealistic expectations, that affected many young people around me, especially high schoolers. And that's why I want to preface that it's not so easy to all of a sudden look in the mirror and just gain confidence. That's not how it works. It's a process. It takes time. It takes a willingness to look inside yourself and start loving and embracing the qualities that you are given. I feel as though a lot of times in life, a lot of people are shunned away from confidence and the fear that they may come off as arrogant or narcissistic or egotistical. But I believe the closer that we look at the display between confidence and arrogance, there's a really thin line. Arrogance, to me at least, is displaying a harmful ego in which you believe you're better or superior to another person. It's pretty much where you believe you have to be very vocal or showy of who you are to cover toxic inner feelings. Well, I would personally define confidence to be an unwavering belief of compassion and love for your qualities and talents, and knowing no matter what situation you may be put in or what challenge you have to face, you can maintain composure and take initiative wherever you may need to. And this is due to being sure in who you are and not being ashamed of your strengths and your weaknesses. I think a false misconception many younger people have is that having confidence is only found in a win, but I think that's ridiculous. I think I found actually most of my confidence through many of the times that I had not succeeded at all in what I wanted to do. And although it hurt at the time, and although I wanted to judge myself and place the blame on my qualities, which I did, me learning that being confident in even the times of failure was one of the strongest things that I could have allowed myself to do. And that was what helped me strengthen my self-security. Now, there's so many ways that people can give advice on how to gain confidence or how to love yourself so that you have confidence, but obviously I can only really share my beliefs. So first, I would like to say that I believe a lot of confidence can be found in delving into your passions and hobbies and finding what you're good at. And I know a lot of people may feel as though that they don't have that special thing that they're good at, but I'm telling you right now that is not true. In fact, I believe many people are good at several things. A lot of people say that you can only be good at one thing, but I think that's ridiculous. It's not only a day's find to find what you're good at, but exploring all the different areas of whether it be sports or arts or business. It gives you time to delve into finding something that matches you and your personality. And once you find that special thing or things, I believe it helps a lot in finding security of what you can do and being proud of yourself, of being able to do those things. And confidence can also come from affirming yourself in a positive way for those things. Now, obviously, this could fall into affirmation apps and looking at yourself in the mirror every morning and telling yourself that you're great and you're enough, but that's not it. That's not only it. Even after the tiniest moments of happiness or after the tiniest moments of where you feel as though you did something to better yourself, be proud of yourself for that. Like finding confidence in the little things you do every day helps lead up to a bigger picture, and I believe that. Earlier this week, I attended this theater workshop with a woman named Elisa Melendez, and it was amazing. I loved it so much. But at the end, she started giving advice on auditioning and how to make it a good experience for yourself. And she said something along the lines of, there are so many other people in this world, and trying to go into, well, specifically for this situation, to go into an audition and act like someone else or embody someone else's traits or persona is useless because there's already one of everyone else, and therefore the world needs you. And I knew when she said this that this is what the topic of my podcast for the episode was going to be about. Personally, I believe a lack in confidence comes from dwelling on insecurities and are being ashamed and embarrassed of who we are, and also embracing it and feeling comfortable in embracing it. And I love that Elisa said this in the workshop, because not only as a performer, it made me realize that there's no need to feel as though I need to act like someone else to be recognized. But it also made me realize that having confidence in who I was and displaying who I was one of the strongest things I could have done socially and business-wise. Authenticity is where so much beauty comes from, no matter who tells you that you have to try and fit a mold to be appreciated, because that's definitely not true. No longer being afraid of having confidence in who you are and what you can do and what you want to do gives you a new purpose. And it also opens up so many doors for the rest of your life to go on and do things that you've never done. I find it kind of saddening, the shame so many people are given for not always talking down on themselves to try and be relatable in a social setting. Arrogance is not embracing who you are and appreciating who you are. Arrogance is harmfully boasting about what you've done or what you have to try and one-up someone. So, yes, it's okay to straighten your posture and not feel ashamed that someone's looking at you funny. It's okay to be noticed for your accomplishments. It's okay to be proud of yourself when you do something that helps better who you are. That's not shameful. And if anyone tries to make you fear having confidence in yourself, despite the idea that it'll come off as arrogance or egotistical, that's ridiculous. Because arrogance stems in needing to project yourself as superior to another in order to mask the feelings of inner insecurity, which is why it's so important to take the time to learn what true confidence is, true appreciation for yourself, not just fake, let me try this out so people don't think I'm ridiculous. Also, most of the time, confidence is quiet. It could be the tiniest things on the outside, yet such a warm feeling on the inside. It could be, again, holding your shoulders a little bit broader, applauding yourself for the moments you feel joy, being happy about that, smiling for yourself, looking at yourself in the mirror and thinking, I'm enough, I'm good enough. Confidence is not boastful. It's not screaming from the rooftops about how great you are. It really shouldn't feel forced, which is why it's not an immediate trait you just acquire. And it's also not something that always stays. A lot of times we can still feel insecure, but be a confident person. That's normal. That's very human. It connects to having love for who you are and respecting your worth. As I have been told by more coaches than I can count in my life, confidence is a killer. And I know that might sound really abrupt just hearing it for the first time, and I also thought that, but eventually I interpreted it to mean that many people are afraid and threatened by people who authentically appreciate who they are. So many people are threatened by a confident persona, more than you think, because although a lot of people try to mask insecurities with arrogance and put on a face of loving themselves, it's truly a small portion of people who have authentic confidence and value and worth for who they are. But overall, I believe with time and willingness, anyone can get to that place. And people and settings around us affect how much time that takes. But I pray for everyone and myself to eventually reach a spot of complete self-love, utter self-love. As I wrap up this episode, I want to push the idea that it's not shameful to have confidence. It's not shameful to take the time to love yourself. And only you are allowed to tell yourself how you feel, no matter how many other people try and tell you. And on that note, that is the end of this episode. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm glad to be back. I'm sorry again for it taking so long for me to create this episode, and I hope you have a wonderful week.